Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And there it was. Wow. That was our show right there. The Mountaintop, as produced by Quincy Community Theater and starring John Lumpkin as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Marissa Lumpkin as Kamei, the mysterious housekeeper with a secret, and now the secret's out. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this epic undertaking, this first venture by Quincy Community Theater. It's great. We're already seeing the comments come in. Thank you, Jill. She said, "Bravo, loved it. Great job, John and Marissa." Thank you so much. Thank you, Gretchen, for that round of applause. Thank you so much, Chaka. Thank you. So awesome, she said. Oh, Kristen says, "It was great. Thank you so much." And Deanna, congratulations. Amazing performances. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that love. We would love to have a dialogue with you. I'm going to bring the actors on in just a little bit. We're hoping people are transferring over from watching the stream to now being on YouTube or Facebook, but please know you are welcome to put in comments. You can ask questions, and we'll do what we can to answer that. And also, if you're tuning in and you have not seen the production yet, there might be spoilers, so we encourage you to watch the performance. It actually will be available for 48 hours. So you can watch it again. You'll need a new code though. So you will still have an opportunity, and encourage other people to tune in and watch this production, a first for Quincy Community Theater, our first full-length virtual production. Oh my, and with doing things virtually, also, you know, technology every now and then. So we're hoping people will still take advantage and watch it again. You will check your email, and you should get an email from us with a link of how you can watch it again for the next 24 hours. Doris has said, "Marissa and John, thank you for this beautiful presentation." Well, let's get them on here, huh? So the stars of the Mountaintop. John and Marissa Lumpkin, you may know them from the show or from the front page of the Herald Whig, huh? How about that? There they are, the front page. We thank the Herald Whig for that incredible coverage. Thank you, Herald Whig, for that article, and for that great front page coverage, that great picture. Well, let's go. Here they are, John and Marissa Lumpkin. Hi, John. Hi, Marissa.
Hello, how you doing?
Looks like you're lounging in your dressing room, fresh off.
Yes.
Well, how are you feeling, you two?
Feel good.
Feel great. Feel good.
Yeah.
Yes.
What an epic night, right? Epic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, there is so much love coming in. Mike is saying bravo and brava.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mike.
And Jean is sending some love. Congratulations on a fabulous performance. Thank you, Jean. Oh my goodness. So everyone who's tuning in, we'd love to hear those comments. And if you have questions, by all means, yes, feel free, and we'll do our best to try to get those. So first of all, John and Marissa, can you talk about how you both came to this project? How did this come to be in your respective lives?
Sure. You know, we've been fans of the Quincy Community Theater for a long time. We've been able to come and see a few plays ourselves, and we always joke with each other that, you know, given the right opportunity, we would love to do it someday. And we never knew when that would be. But one day my co-worker, Ellen Taylor, she texted me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you're aware, but there's this play, and Brandon's looking for someone to play the role of Dr. Martin Luther King." I looked it up, got an opportunity to read the script, and immediately thought of my wife for the role of Kamei. And so I presented it to her, and she was in agreement with me, and the rest is history. We contacted you and set up an audition time, and
Yeah. And so then one of the questions that came in, I think from Dave, was what were you experiencing when you found out then that you were cast in the roles?
Oh man, all different emotions. Like, oh, what did we sign up for? But at the same time, really excited because it's a new chapter of our lives, you know, and just being able to embrace it as a challenge and learn as we go. And we've just had such a good time.
Oh, great. And so Gretchen was wondering, have either of you done theater before?
No.
Never. I took a acting class once in college, a theater class in college, to fulfill the public speaking requirement, and that was my only experience. So.
And I've never done.
So, like, the world is giving you both a standing ovation right now.
Oh, well, thank you.
To make your theater debut doing the Mountaintop play, and look at what Chaka has to say. How fun was that? You both looked like naturals. This was
thank you, Chaka. Thank you.
I agree. And Brendan, who's our education director at the theater, I can't believe it's your guys' first role. Wow. Oh, wow. We are just so thankful and so proud. So what spoke to you each about this particular play? So when you read it, why did you think, yeah, this is the one? This is the one where we want to invest our time into this?
I would say for me, it was definitely just the fact that it was about Martin Luther King. That immediately drew me in. I'm a lover of history. And so when I have the opportunity to learn more about his life, and then this play came up, I always kind of joke sometimes and say, you know, I carry myself a lot like Martin Luther King. You know, I want to present myself. I want to live my life loving others and wishing the best for our entire community. And so, again, it was just a perfect role for me. So.
Oh, and Marissa, how did the script speak to you, and why did you feel, yeah, I want to go out there and do that?
Well, I think that more of the passing of the baton and the opportunity that we each have to, you know, change the world, to make a difference. I think that was big, that, you know, just like in Martin Luther King's final speech in the play, he talks about that the promised land on the mountaintop, it's made of the dreams and visions of men and women who have paid the ultimate price with their lives. And so there have been people before us who have passed the baton on, and now it's our time to pick it up. And so I think that that is huge. And that was kind of the focus, you know, throughout the play, is saying, you know, your men will carry it on. And, you know, we have that opportunity.
Right. We shouldn't rely on just one person to do all of the work, right? That we all, in our own way, can be a part of the relay race.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So putting you on the spot right away, Kate says, will we be seeing more of these talent actors on the QCT stage?
Yes, we will.
So
we'll definitely be. We're looking into maybe doing some acting classes so we can like actually really know what we're doing.
Oh, great. We have a few questions about like how we did the show. So I want to jump in on that, and then we'll come back to some other things. Our good friend Dennis asked, were you in separate rooms? Yes, and we actually did. We actually were in a hotel room. So we want to give a shout out to the Atrium on 3rd Hotel here in Quincy, which is right across the street from the Oakley Lindsay Center, Quincy Community Theater. They donated 3 rooms to us. So John was in a room, and I was in a room, and Marissa was in a room. And that was because of audio purposes. And that way the camera could be right up in their face. And then we did cut away, and we did do a few shots where they were in the same room together. And another shout out to Atrium is they even replaced the bedspreads to try to make it look a little bit more like the Lorraine Motel. And by the way, I have a picture of Dr. King's room at the Lorraine Motel. And everyone watching right now, I want you to notice the bedspreads. And just a fun little detail that I appreciate here is we made up the beds just like that in our production. So you'll notice you may recall that one bed had the cover completely over the pillows, and then the other bed had it slightly pulled off of the pillow. So we did that in honor of this this image. So John, actually today is a really special day for you. So everyone, today is John Lumpkin's birthday.
It was just yesterday, but yes.
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday. And will you please tell everyone how old you are?
Well, I'm actually 39 today. Oh, yesterday. So yes.
Everyone,
Same
isn't
as Martin Luther King.
that wild?
Yeah.
Like, this was meant to be. This was meant to be, right? So
Yeah.
in the play, they say Martin Luther King is 39, and so John was age appropriate.
Yeah.
Wow, and he shaved his goatee for us.
Yeah, he did.
That was hard to do, but I did it.
Great. So Nora has jumped in here to say you both gave powerful performances in an inspirational story. Thank you.
You, Nora.
Thank you, Nora.
Oh, yes, yes. Let's see. And so Bill had a question, which I would love for us to talk about. Great production. How hard was it to embrace the colorful language that the show required?
Yes.
So Marissa, I'm going to go to you on that one because we had quite a few conversations about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
That is language that we don't often hear in QCT productions, nor is it language that often comes out of the Marissa Lumpkin mouth. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, that was challenging for me. It was something that, I fought within my mind over and over again, and I think that you and I, Brandon, were able to have conversations and talk about, just being able to shape the characters and really understand, particularly Kamei, my character, to understand her and to understand the person that she was. And, she, was molested at a young age. She was a prostitute in the back of an alley. She lost her life. She was murdered. She had a very rough life. And yet, in spite of that all, God still chose to use her in the play. And so I think that was important. But yes, it was a challenge. It definitely was. But it was something that I was able to push through and say, you know what, this is really going to help give the story color.
Right. Yeah.
Colorful language gave the story color and understanding. Absolutely.
Yeah, anytime QCT includes that kind of language in a show, it is always very intentional, and it is thought over quite intentionally. And I will say probably maybe my favorite part of the play is Kamei's speech towards the end that she gives about how she died, and she looks at God and she says, here I am with all of this grime, with all of this filth, right? Mm-hmm. And yet what did God do? Oh, I get very emotional, and you did it so beautifully. She said, God just smiled, right? And said, I forgive you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that makes such an impact, because I think people assume that only like perfect people can do great things, right? Mm-hmm. But this play takes a very different spin from the way I know we've talked about this in rehearsals. Very different spin on theology, and that we don't necessarily agree with the theology of the play, but that wasn't the point. Mm-hmm. But what we agree with is the forgiveness, and that is so beautiful to bring into this play. Mm-hmm. John, Elizabeth asked a question. Do you feel the Dr. King you know from history or your own impression similar or dissimilar to the Dr. King written or portrayed in this script?
Well, it's definitely different. And when studying Dr. King, we focus so much on the amazing things he's done in his life. And one of the things that it wasn't a shock to me, but it was just a firm reminder, was that at the time of his death, he was considered the most hated man in America. And so that was, as celebrated as he is today, during his life, and especially the latter years of his life, was extremely difficult for him. So when you see the scene of me, paranoid checking the phone and looking under the beds, that's because he knew that his life was always under threat. And so when I went back and listened to the Mountaintop speech again a number of times in preparation for this, and each time it moved me just knowing that he walked with constant fear and knowledge that he was that hated, that everyone was not receiving his message of love and peace. And so yeah, it was definitely different for me.
Was there something for either of you, something that really surprised you about the play, or something that you learned about Dr. King because of working on the play?
I learned a lot. Actually, when we make reference to, Kamei mentioned, when you failed in Albany, I was really like, what is that in reference to? Because I didn't know that story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and looked, and then actually you guys actually shared something at QCT on it too. And so, and it just gave a lot more perspective. A lot of times we do think that, we want to succeed every single time, and we learn so many lessons in our failures also. And so, definitely that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have a comment shared here that I appreciate so much. QCT is the best. I've missed these thought-provoking experiences so much, and I cannot be more thankful that you brought this play to us tonight.
Oh, you're
wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
For that comment. Randy had a question for you. How much has this absorbed your life at home, practicing and rehearsing to put this together so fast? And I want to take this opportunity to mention the Lumpkins have 4 children at home. So can you talk about how your life changed while rehearsing this play and working on it outside of your rehearsal time with me?
Yes,
pretty dramatically. I mean, we're a family of 6, and so generally every night we're at the table together. And my wife, she works until 5, and so those family dinners were put on hold for about a good 4 weeks. In just preparation for this play. And so, we had family dinner for the first time together last night. The kids were ecstatic, and so were we. And so we did it again today. And it's just kind of.
But yeah, I think, it altered. In the mornings we would get up and we would rehearse, and then we'd meet on my lunch break and we would rehearse, and then we would come home from work and we'd see the kids for a little bit and then rehearse, and then we would rehearse with you. Yes. And so, yeah, it did consume a lot of our lives, especially, doing a 2-person play where there's so many lines for both of the characters in there. And so I think that was vital to the success of the play, getting those down. So,
yeah. And you had said something to me just recently, is that you really didn't know any better, right?
No, we didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you'd never done anything. And, and someone else said to you, you're doing a 2-person play. Right? Like, yeah.
I actually had told John, I said, if acting was my full-time job, then it really wouldn't take up that much time, because that would just be my job. And so 8 to 10 hours wouldn't be anything to spend on. So, yeah.
So I want to bring up, Marissa, your character's name. Mm-hmm. So your character is called Kamei, which is short for Carrie May. Mm-hmm. And if you play with those words just a little bit, what do you get?
Carry me.
Carry me, right? And so there she was as the angel sent there to carry him safely from Earth to heaven. Yes. And I believe that Kamei, or Carrie May, is the name of Katori Hall's mother. Katori Hall, the playwright of the Mountaintop. There's a neat story too that Katori Hall, the playwright, her mother had the opportunity to go to the Mountaintop speech, and her mother said no, because you're going to get blown up. There were so many threats of bombs, and so she prohibited her from going, and her mother always thought of that as just this great regret, not being able to see Dr. King speak. And so she wanted to write a play that gave her mother that opportunity to be in the room with Dr. King. Chaka has chimed in here. What a great example to children, especially those of color, to see you two do something new and have an opportunity to do such an impactful play. Thank you, Brandon, for always taking risks and bringing out the best characters in Good People. And Chaka and I did the play Good People together a few years ago. So thank you, Chaka. Thank you for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everyone. If you have any other questions, feel free to chime in. Another great moment I love in the play is early on, Dr. King is on the phone with his daughter, Bunny, or Bernice, and he gives her a little bit of advice. He says, when I can't sleep, I just, I lay down and I pray. And later on, Kamei says why she came. It was because your daughter, Bunny, prayed that please don't let my daddy die alone, right? And that was not something I caught on the first reading. It was just when we went back and we kept analyzing the text that we discovered that's why she was there. That one little line on the phone signals, that it was Bernice who let Kamei come. God answered Bernice's prayer, and Bernice did become a preacher. I had to look that up, I admit. But I thought that was really neat. And I wonder, John and Marissa, if you could tell us who provided the voice of Bunny.
My baby girl, Jolie. Yeah, she provided the voice, and she was so excited to have a role in this. She saw how hard me and Mom was working, and she's actually very interested in doing theater herself. And even this morning,
she told us this morning she's going to be in a play. We said, okay, all right.
Great. So again, if people have questions, or I would love for people to chime in with lines that maybe stood out to them, or questions or things that maybe confused them, feel free to chime in. Deanna actually wrote a question here. In the play, the characters say that fear is a common trait in all people. Would you or disagree with this notion? What do you think, John and Marissa?
For me, yes. I definitely think a lot of times we have a tendency, when we don't understand something or someone else, we view it as though it's in a way
something to be afraid of.
Yeah, something to be afraid of. So if you don't dress like me, if you don't look like me, if you don't sound like me, if you don't come from the same country as me, then I must be afraid of you, instead of taking the time to actually break bread and get to know someone else, despite our differences. And so definitely.
I would add to that, because Martin Luther King Jr. says also, he says, they're afraid of losing something they've known their whole lives. How scary is it when something that you've known your whole life that you thought you knew turns out that you didn't really know that? And you know what I mean? That's a scary thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it could be just, change from having that fixed mindset of this is what I know, to be having to shift and now have a growth mindset and be open-minded and learn new things. That can be a scary place. And so I think that's where fear comes for everyone.
Right. In rehearsal, the three of us had a conversation around that line, and I brought up the example about Thanksgiving and Christopher Columbus. That for me personally, those are just great feel-good kind of stories. And then the more gets revealed that they perhaps were not, and very dark, and that's tough to let go, right? You just think of those grade school stories, and you just want them to be true, right? But there comes a time where you have to say, it's not that way. Right. Let it go. Right. And be willing to have the heart that's open to ask questions and think about that. Doris had asked about, I'm just going to acknowledge this. Yes, there is a way, if you missed it tonight, if you haven't watched it yet, you will still be able to. We have the license to show the show for 48 hours. So you still have 48 hours to watch it. You'll still need to get a ticket and get that specific code. So just go to the QCT website, and it will direct you to the other website where you can stream the show. So yes, by all means, and please encourage other people to watch it. You have 48 hours. So please tune in and experience the story of the Mountaintop. Let's see. All right. So this is going to be probably a little bit of I don't know, like maybe a heated question, but I thought it was very timely that in the play, Dr. King talks about the death of Larry Payne. And this is coming right off of the death of George Floyd for us in our era. And so I thought that was exceptionally timely, sort of coincidental in a way, and also just sad that it is still relevant here in 2020. And I'm curious if other people caught that, and if what you thought of that, our audiences. So if you'd like to chime in on that, and then of course we just had an incident happen in Chicago too, with a ginormous case of looting and rioting in the streets and things like that, you know, and so there's still this police brutality that is happening. And John and Marissa, again, in rehearsals, we had so many wonderful conversations, and that's probably something that that I will treasure the most about this experience.
Will too.
When we got to open with each other and talk. And one of the things that really made an impact on me was we talked about Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's rice, right? And while that feels maybe like a nice gesture, that's really not the point. Marissa, I wonder if you would be comfortable just speaking some more about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, John and I had talked about it, you know, before we had talked about it in rehearsal. And, you know, we at that point had found out, you know, they wanted to take the Aunt Jemima off the bottle and Uncle Ben off the rice. And I said, are you going to take the cream of wheat man off too? And, you know, like, I don't, you know, that's not the point. Like, we're missing the entire point if we take the, you know, these characters, these African-American, you know, people on food products off to make some type of point, but that's not it. And actually, I kind of appreciated that. That's just me talking, but I liked having, you know, the African-American, you know, I call them characters or whatever, you know, on food products. Like, I remember being a child and going to the store and, like, you know, somebody that looks like me, you know, so I don't know. I mean, that's kind of our perspective, what we think. It does take away from the issue. You know, you got to keep the main issue and not go off someplace to the left. So,
right. Yeah. It felt like a quick fix versus just letting the essence of what the actual issue is. And,
Definitely.
And I think you had talked about it's about training. You know, let's give proper training to police forces, and, you know, the issue can be police brutality. Let's address that, not Uncle Ben's rice.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
And with talking with both of you in rehearsals, you both spoke about Black history in school and said that so little is actually talked about. And if memory serves, the ones you mentioned were in school, you hear about Dr. King and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks, you know? And there is so much more to Black history and contributions to American history than is taught in school.
Yes.
And Marissa, I wonder if you would just be willing to speak a little bit more about that. It made such an impact on me when you spoke about it in rehearsal.
Well, I think, you know, growing up, which I'll be 38 in September, but we did not really delve into the contributions that African Americans have made to America. And so as I grew older and as I was able to look and learn and listen for myself, I found, you know, I would say probably in my 20s, my younger 20s, as I branched out and started learning things, I felt almost, you know, I don't know if anger is the word, but I was upset. I felt like that I had not been given information, and that if someone would have told me all the things that I learned, you know, how much more empowered as a young child would I have been, you know. And so I do look back, and, you know, even our own children, you know, they come home and, you know, we're so tired. We don't want them to talk about slaves, you know, we don't want them to do, because, you know, us as Black people, as African Americans, there's so much more, that we have accomplished. And so, just to have a focus on that in school, that's so important. And not just 1 month, not just February, like that has to be something that's ongoing. Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to talk about the final montage at the end. And first of all, Nora had asked, how did you choose the images for the video montage at the end? So I want to give a shout out to QCT's summer intern, Emily Cantor. So I had reached out to her and had given her the script, and I said, go for it. And so the majority of the images that you saw were images that she found. So, Google was our friend, and she just started typing in those things. And I'll tell you, that montage was a huge learning experience for me. There were many things on that list I did not know. And I had to look them up, and John and Marissa, we talked about them too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there were many things on the list you did not know either.
Right.
That's a great thing about doing theater, is it gives you like this opportunity to learn something, right? You come across words you never heard of before, and you look them up, and empathy with characters, and this one being so historically based, we learned so much about it. So Susan asked a question here. She said, I loved the passing of the baton sequence. Tell us how far you think the baton has gone. Are you comfortable, happy, satisfied with the changes that our country is trying to make at this time? Either of you want to chime in with that?
I'll chime in. I'll say, am I happy? No. I think we've come far. I think we've definitely come far. I'll always, sometimes we'll stop and I'll look at my son and I'll think of what the future could be for him. And knowing how much better my future was than my grandfather and my father. And so we definitely have made big strides. I still, of course, would like to see us make more strides and just recognizing all Americans as American, regardless of what the color of our skin is and what state we live in or what political party we choose to support. And so, and get back to treating each other as though we're neighbors. And loving each other.
Yeah, and Dennis brought up this great point. Big news today: Kamala Harris was chosen as Joe Biden's vice president candidate. So we have a Black female running as vice president. So what a historic day that is as well, right? How timely that this show should be performed on that day as well. Terry has shared also one of my favorite lines in the play, evil is not in God's jurisdiction, but good is, right? Many people struggle with the idea saying, like, why does God let bad things happen? And I so appreciate that Kamei gets to address that, is that's not God, that's man. That's evilness right there. Every good thing comes from God.
Perfect gift.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I am curious if our listeners, our viewers right now, had a thought about the theology in the play, and specifically about God being portrayed as a Black woman. We had a great conversation about that in rehearsals. And I have my thoughts about why that is. And I wonder, John and Marissa, if you'd like to chime in on your thoughts about God being portrayed as a Black woman in this play.
I don't know. To me, I really had fun with it because Kamei was able to talk about how beautiful God is. And, in a sense, not that we see his beauty in all the things that he does. And I think that when she says, she talks about God and she says, she's more gorgeous than me. Her eyes are the color of midnight and her hair, just you wait till you see her hair. And, and she was smiling down at me, and just all this love that you feel just from Kamei's description of God, and that truly is who God is. And so that is what I took away personally from that, and how I was able to connect, because maybe it may not be in a literal sense, but it's the beauty of God that was being portrayed. And so that's what I appreciated.
With the streaming of the show, you have the opportunity to view a program, a stage bill, and I have a director's note. And one of the things that I talked about in there is that this play is laced with these little upsets, these little things that sort of jolt you out of reality.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And really make you uncomfortable or like go, what? And God as a female is one of them, because for so many, I think they think of God as a white male with a long white beard and a rocking chair. God is a spirit.
Right.
But I think there's all this discord throughout the show, and it's so intentional because it's meant to say, you can't be safe and secure and just sit in, well, that's the way it is, and I'm used to things being this way. But sometimes we have to stop and ask questions and look at something in a completely different way. And like we talked about earlier with that line, sometimes we're just plain scared to let go of something we've always believed in. And so they throw the theology and an image of God up on its end too. And God likes dirty jokes. Like, hi, God. And by no means is this meant to be some sort of theological reality, but it is totally meant to make us ask questions just about life in general and say it is okay for us to let something go, and find out what is true. A couple of people have commented too about God as a Black woman, about the shack, and we actually did talk about that in rehearsal too. Great book, great movie. I highly recommend it. Amanda had asked, is there a way to still see it if we missed it tonight? Absolutely. Go to oneqct.org, and the link is still there. You will need to get a code, and you have access to the show for 48 hours. So please, please, please go ahead and watch it. Oh, and QCT is right here to say, if you want to watch the show again, you have 48 hours. Get your ticket.
Yes.
Yeah, and tell your friends. All right. Oh, I just love this comment here too. The beauty of our God. Yeah,
Yes.
Beautiful. And Ruth, yes, growth happens outside your comfort zone. So with that, John and Marissa, as we come towards the end of our talk back tonight, what do you hope that the audience takes away from this experience, from watching this play tonight?
For me, it's that we all need to pick up the baton. We all have work we can do to improve our country, improve our neighborhoods, improve our communities. And so in the next generation, they're definitely eager and showing the passion to want to partake. And so, it's up for us to lead the way and do it right and show that, despite of our differences, we can still work together to make our country better.
John, I want to dig a little deeper into what you just said. How do you think that you personally could pick up the baton and keep it going?
Every day I make a conscious decision to treat others how I want to be treated. And so, from the moment everyone I encounter, you're generally probably going to see me greeting you with a smile. You will definitely experience what I like to call, I try and give off the love of Christ to everyone I meet. And so if that's, it's not, I don't want to base my judgment on you based off of where you come from or what you look like or what your economic status is. I want to treat you as valued as God would see you. And so that's what I personally do every day.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And Marissa, for you, what do you hope audiences take away from this experience of the Mountaintop?
Well, I hope that they take away that no matter who you are and no matter what you've been through, that you have the ability to do great things, great things. Everyone has that ability. And don't let your past dictate, predicate where your future ends up. We have that conscious decision of carrying the baton. We cannot walk weary through this world with willowed backs. Woe is me, woe is me. We have to pick our heads up and say, I'm moving forward, and take each day one at a time and bring our best each day, and we can accomplish great things.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my goodness. Yes, thank you. And may I say that I think you two have accomplished something great tonight.
Oh, thank you.
It was such a pleasure to meet you and to work with you. 4 weeks? Has it been 4 weeks maybe that we first met through auditions? And and we had about 3 weeks of rehearsal, and there we go. And Dan Conboy, who is our production assistant, by the way, shout out to Dan, said thank you for your performances and your messages. Ellen, who is the one who first reached out to John. Congratulations, John and Marissa, on your first QCT show, and congrats, Brandon, on your first full virtual production. Great work, all of you. And Gretchen, much love to John and Marissa and family. Thank you for this wonderful gift. People are sending in their thanks, their love. And John and Marissa, welcome to QCT.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Mountaintop and viewing this conversation. Thank you for your comments. And I want to give a special thank you to all of you who made a donation to support QCT's and this work tonight. We are just going through a very complex time in the country. Theater looks so different right now, but we so greatly appreciate the support, the love that you continue to give us, and thank you for those donations that allow us to keep doing this programming, that we can offer it free of charge because of you. Doris says, we are a lucky community. We are indeed. I'm just going to give a shout out. My dad, great job. Thank you, Dad. That means a lot to me that that you are watching tonight. I know my mom is there too watching.
You did amazing, Brandon.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Yes.
And how about we leave it with this? Love how you have carried the baton by doing this production.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
So with that, thank you so much, John and Marissa. Thank you to our community. Thank you to all of you who watched. And please spread the word. You still have 48 hours to watch this production. And with that, we are signing off. Thank you. Thank you, John and Marissa. Thank you on behalf of Quincy Community Theater. And thank you, our sponsors, State Street Bank and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Atrium on 3rd for being such wonderful hosts. And have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.